Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're going to do something that I haven't done probably in several years on this channel, and that's review a Monday Night Raw. Now we're going to cover the Monday Night Raw from October 20th, 2025. Basically, to give you a little reason why I'm doing this, my hours at my job have shifted and made it so it is possible for me to do this now. I used to work a shift where Monday Night Raw was on and I wouldn't watch it till like Tuesday morning. And by the time I got done watching it, all your other favorite YouTubers already had their review out, so why would you want to watch mine? Kind of the thought process behind it. But I digress. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to see what the response is. Maybe give it a couple weeks. If it gets good views, if you guys like this, I'll continue to do it. If you really like it, I'll probably try to do at least Dynamite and maybe SmackDown. Even SmackDown, I know would be something that's going to be a late thing though, because I have plans basically every Friday night. But anyway, I digress. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, basically I grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. For this, I tried to keep everything into rating a segment as a segment. Some of it spilled over. I tried to keep it between the commercial breaks, but some of it spilled over into 2 segments, so some of these are going to be more than a segment. Some of them just longer, just because it's a continuation. With that being said, let's jump right into it. We get the thing that probably everybody watching was waiting for, to see what would happen with Braun and Bronson and the world title picture, Seth Rollins. Immediately we get Adam Pearce coming to the ring, which they then show the Bronsons or the Brawns coming with Paul Heyman and walking out to the ring. We find out that Seth Rollins is going to be stripped of the title and that there'll be a battle royal tonight, and the winner of that battle royal will face CM Punk at Saturday night's main event to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. I thought this was kind of a solid opener. I feel there's more that could have been done. I do like that the narrative they're pressing with Braun Breaker is he's a little bit too aggressive right now, and Paul Heyman needs to rear him in, which they're going to talk about a little bit later. But I did enjoy this segment. I'm going to give this a 4. Next up, we have a recap and a talk with the Judgment Day. Basically, Dom has got JD and Finn into a tag team title match later tonight, which will be right next. I think Judgment Day is always in a constant state of potential breakup, state of evolution. People are being kicked out, removed, other people are coming in. To me, it's one of the most compelling storylines to follow along from the beginning of Judgment Day till now and see how much they've changed. And I like this as kind of an ever-evolving stable, especially now that we're at the point that none of the original Judgment Day members are still in Judgment Day. That leads us right into the aforementioned tag team match. We get AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Finn Balor and JD McDonagh for the tag titles. I did think it was kind of weird that they would point out that this is only the second defense of the tag titles. Normally as a company you want to shy away from that because that's not something the fans would enjoy. I might not have brought that up, although Wade Barrett did his best to say, hey, it's exactly what I would do. I would only fight when I was made to. I honestly think this is the best match of the night. The chemistry these 4 guys have with each other, it's just off the charts. And especially you got 2 top-tier talents in AJ Styles and Finn Balor, and then 2 excellent ring wrestlers in Dragon Lee and JD McDonagh. JD McDonagh is so underrated. I could definitely see a world where JD McDonagh works his way into becoming a World Heavyweight Champion. I think he'd need to bulk up just a little bit. He seems just a little bit on the thin side, but I think he could get there, and Dragon Lee is just amazing. Dragon Lee is awesome. I'm glad that he's getting more of a shine now, and he's not lost in the kind of mix with the other flashier and newer luchadors that have come to the company like Penta and Rey Fenix. I really enjoyed this match. Like I said, I think this is my favorite match of the night. I'm giving this one a 5. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee do pick up the win to become the new tag champions. Very good match. Really enjoyed it. I love seeing a title change on Raw because it makes a Raw feel more important than just another build for a pay-per-view or Saturday night's main event. I thought it was really good. Next up, we get another backstage thing between the Usos with Jay and Jimmy. Jay talking about Roman might have been right, and also Jimmy may be right. Jimmy kind of saying, hey, I got your back, I hope you got mine, and they shake hands coming out of it. I like this dynamic, and I'm a fan of Jay, and I know a lot of people have kind of soured on Jay a little bit, but I still think he's got that little something that puts puts him in the main event status. I'd love to see Jimmy get bumped up into that upper card as well, because during these last few weeks and months, I think he's really been the better of the two, the more compelling of the two Uso brothers. From that, we go right into an Intercontinental title match, which we have Dominic Mysterio defending against Rusev. We get to see some of Dom's cheating ways that has kept him the title. And I'm sorry, Dominic Mysterio is, in my opinion, and I might be wrong here, I think he is the most popular wrestler in the company other than CM Punk. The crowd just goes crazy for him now. He has got to the point where he's almost at Eddie Guerrero level of love. Even though he's a bad guy, he's getting a great reception from the crowd, and they cheer him when he cheats. I love Dirty Dom. I think he's probably one of my favorite wrestlers in the world right now. This is a really good match. I really enjoyed this. We get Penta on the outside, who's basically there to kind of stop Dom from cheating. However, little miscommunications with Penta and Rusev. Dom does end up winning the title. He does end up cheating by giving another kick to Rusev in the man parts. Again, I'm going to give this a 5. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I love everything Dominic Mysterio. You could put Dominic Mysterio in an IV and tap him right into my veins, and I would love that. He is, in my opinion, from where he started to where he is now, he might be the biggest improvement in any wrestler I've ever seen. And I can't think of another wrestler that went from someone I didn't care about at all to being one of my favorite wrestlers this quickly. And I know it's been a couple of years, but you get what I'm saying. Again, I'm going to give this a 5. We do get the after match stuff with Penta and Rusev. I hope they're going to set up for a 3-way match. I think the 3 of these guys together could make an amazing match. And I think it also would be a good way to take that Intercontinental title off of Dominic Mysterio without him losing, either Rusev pinning Penta or vice versa. Like I said, I really enjoyed this. Next up, we have the Women's Intercontinental title match. Maxine Dupree, who we find out Sacramento's her hometown. I really didn't know that. I didn't recall them ever making a big deal out of Maxine Dupree's hometown, but I could be wrong. They could say it every week. And she's going up against Becky Lynch. I do like the story they're going with here. For some reason, and I like Becky Lynch. I like Becky Lynch a lot. I think she's one of the probably top 10 women's wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. At least WWE-wise. Once we get into Japan, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I really enjoyed her, but in this run, I don't know what it is. There's something that's missing from her. It could be the fact that I just don't think that she makes a great heel, but I don't think it's just that, because it's in her matches too. Like, this felt really lackluster. It felt, against the rest of this card, it felt like this was the weakest match. And I can't put that all on Maxine Dupree, because I've kind of felt the same way about a lot of Becky matches during this latest run of hers, where I feel like it's lackluster or it's not up to the standards that Becky Lynch has set for herself. Becky does get herself disqualified to keep the title. I like the story they're going with. Honestly, I think they need to take the belt off of Becky, because all the reasons I just mentioned, I just don't find her compelling anymore. And I'm sorry, she's someone I really liked. I liked the man. I liked the stuff that she'd done before that, and I like stuff that she's done after that. But in this run, there's just something that's missing. I can't put my finger on it, but it doesn't feel like... I don't want to say she's not giving the same effort, because you could tell she's giving effort in the matches, but her matches aren't the same quality. Her promos aren't the same quality. I don't know, maybe her heart's not in it now. I'm just saying, anything I could say would be just speculation. Like I said, there's something definitely missing. I'm giving this segment a 3. I think it was right about middle of the road. I can't give it much better. Now, before we go on to our next segment, I want to kick it over to Promotional George, and Promotional George is going to tell you about a movie that's coming out very soon. Go ahead with it, George. Thanks, George. Nevermore the Raven Effect is a documentary film about the professional wrestler Raven. The film explores his tortured genius, pain, and brilliance, influenced the extreme wrestling scene of the 1990s, particularly in ECW. It features interviews with Raven himself and other wrestling legends like Chris Jericho and Tommy Dreamer, along with ECW standouts like The Sandman and musical geniuses like Billy Corgan, chronicling the chaotic and brutal era of wrestling and its physical and emotional toll on those involved. You get a chance to see behind the scenes on one of the most compelling and interesting characters and minds in the history of pro wrestling. I highly recommend you watch this movie. It's being brought to us by Night School Films, and the acclaimed documentary director Jordy Day. This promises to be one of the quintessential documentaries of pro wrestling, and definitely one of the quintessential characters in pro wrestling. One of the guys who made an indelible mark on the sport, doesn't quite get the credit he deserves, but maybe now we could see behind the mirror, behind the magic, Raven. Definitely check this out. November 18th, Nevermore, The Raven Effect, Amazon Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, and Vudu. Now back to George. Thank you, George. That movie looks really interesting to me. I'm a huge Raven fan, so obviously I'm going to watch it. I hope you guys check it out too, even if you're not a fan or you're not familiar with his work. If you're a newer fan, I definitely recommend checking it out because Raven is one of the most interesting wrestlers I've ever seen. And that's not any hyperbole. If you talk to anybody that really followed Raven's career, he's one of the guys that really set himself apart. Back to the topic at hand. We get a backstage segment with the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. I absolutely love these segments. I love what they're doing with Asuka. They're making her feel as important as she ever has on the main roster. I don't think that she's ever felt this special on the main roster. Now in NXT, she definitely did. But the stuff they're doing now, she feels dangerous. She feels like someone that you should be afraid of. And her kind of manipulation and control over Kairi, sort of in a Roman bloodline kind of way, is a very compelling character. I love the fact that they're letting them speak in both English and Japanese and just letting the fans go with that. That's one of the things over the last couple of years that I've really enjoyed about the Triple H regime, is the fact that he lets wrestlers speak in their native language and he doesn't hold our hands through it. They put the subtitles on there so we get to hear the passion of someone speaking in their native language. Just imagine, for all you English speakers out there, if you had to go to work in a new country, let's say Germany, and you had to speak German, and you're trying to learn the language, so you're trying to read off something, so it comes flat because you're not as confident as you are with a language you've been speaking your whole life. I hope that makes sense. It's really impressive in my opinion. From that, we see Paul Heyman at the door for Adam Pearce. He knocks. Basically, he's asking to get Braun and Bronson into the Battle Royal. In a nice callback to the beginning of the show, Adam Pearce asks Paul Heyman to say please, like Braun Breaker made Adam Pearce say please to get the title back. I do like the fact that he stood firm and he still said no to Heyman. That was pretty cool. We did get a good segment. I just talked badly about Becky in my last segment. I did enjoy this though. Her and Paul Heyman, the dynamic there, and I'm going to assume that Paul Heyman was directing this and had control over this. The way she just let everything soak in before basically pulling him in and whispering in his ear and kind of being a little menacing, that's cinema, that's art. This is storytelling, this is what wrestling needs. You can have all these great matches like the tag match earlier in the show, the Dominic match earlier in the show, but you need these pieces that keep it going. You need these things that keep you interested. Where does Becky fit in this story? Her husband is out. He's been injured by these guys. They still have to work together. You can't just ignore that. I love that they do things like this nowadays. They don't insult our intelligence. In the old days, they probably would have ignored the fact that Becky was still there. Now from that leads us into our Women's World Championship match. We have Stephanie McMahon defending against Roxanne Perez. Again, this is another match I really enjoyed. I think that these two women are two of the top women in the company right now. Stephanie McMahon has came in and just basically set the whole world on fire. Roxanne Perez, at her young age, I think she's still only like 23 or 24. She may be 25 at the oldest. I'm not 100% sure her age. But at the young age that she is, she's like a seasoned veteran already. Raquel Rodriguez on the outside is just amazing, and I was listening to Kevin Nash's podcast earlier, and he was kind of talking about Raquel, and he's talked about her several times on his podcast and mentioned that he had gave her pointers, and she seems to be listening. I am so happy that she is, because you could tell that she's working more like Kevin Nash worked as Diesel, as a bodyguard. And I know people hate Kevin Nash, and I know people think that Kevin Nash can't wrestle, or Kevin Nash didn't do anything. But he was a great character, and he knew exactly what the Diesel character should be and what it should be. And that's kind of like with Raquel Rodriguez. I feel like there were a lot of people early in her career that weren't telling her, hey, you're bigger than every other girl on this roster, except for maybe a couple. You need to act like you're bigger than every girl on this roster. You can't be on the same level with a girl that's a foot shorter than you, or else the fans aren't going to believe in you. I think she's become more believable taking that from him. Ultimately, Stephanie Vaquer does win. She basically avoids the interference. Afterwards, Raquel attacks Stephanie. They got a 2-on-1 situation, and out comes Nikki Bella. And I gotta say this, and this may come off as me simping for Nikki Bella or me being a gooner right now, but I don't know how Nikki Bella gets more attractive the older she gets. It shouldn't work like that. She shouldn't be getting more attractive, but in my opinion, I think she is. Maybe it's the fact that I'm getting older and she's kind of near my age group and kind of near the age of women I should be dating. I digress. That's just a little piece of this. I thought this was good. I kind of like what they're doing with Nikki and Stephanie Vaquer. We know that there's eventually going to be something between the two, but you're sowing the seeds early with them being friends. You have to build the friendship to build the distrust. At some point, Nikki's going to want that title and probably turn on Stephanie. I thought this was a really good all-together between the Kabuki Warriors, the stuff with Heyman and Becky, the match itself, the aftermath. I'm going to give this all a 4. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was really interesting on this part of the show. Next up, we have another backstage segment with Adam Pearce. He's talking to Lyra Valkyria, and Bayley comes up to continue their thing. That's another storyline that I'm absolutely engaged in. I want to see what Bayley's going to do. I love Bayley. I'm a huge Bayley fan, and I have been for a very long time. I like that they're letting her basically do whatever she wants now. I like the dichotomy of these two because Lyra kind of feels like a young Bayley did, kind of that ultra white meat baby face, and Bayley feels like someone that's been changed by the world of pro wrestling and has been warped by wrestling into what she's become. So we get to see where she started basically with Lyra and where she is now with herself. That leads us into one of Paul Heyman's, I can't say it's one of his best because, God, Paul Heyman has probably 10,000 amazing promos that he said in his career. But here's another one. He's in the back with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and he's bringing up his history, how he took and had the unrefined gems of Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns, and how he guided them to becoming more than they were and becoming special and becoming 3 of the greatest wrestlers in the history of WWE. I like this. I like how he's explaining to these guys, hey, we didn't get what we want, but we're not here to just do that. We're here to take this over. You're going to be a multiple-time WrestleMania main eventer. I'm going to get you there because I got Brock there, because I got Roman there. They even mentioned the big dog era of Roman and how nobody remembers that, which people remember that, but in the grand scheme, I get what he's saying. I thought this was an amazing segment between these two things. I'm giving this a 5. After the commercial, we get to see Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella walking in the back, kind of, again, building their friendship a little bit more. I do eventually think that this is going to end to Nikki turning on her. I mean, it's obvious if you've watched wrestling long enough, you know what the tropes are. I do like the groundwork they're setting. That leads us to our main event of the evening, the Battle Royal to determine who's going to wrestle CM Punk at Saturday night's main event. Off the top of my head, I didn't write down who was all in it. We had Sheamus, both of the Usos, LA Knight, Dominic Mysterio, Finn and JD, AJ Styles, Otis, Ivar, Tozawa, and I'm probably forgetting a couple other people that were in there. I'm going to preface this with saying I'm normally a huge fan of the Battle Royal concept. I don't know what it is. Something about Battle Royals and Royal Rumbles I've always enjoyed. And I know they're not great matches. They never really are. But this one, I wanted more out of this. It didn't feel like it was something special. Maybe it's the fact that Braun and Bronson weren't in it with that threat of them winning it. Maybe because there was a lot of time where they isolated to just one particular matchup in the Battle Royal where you couldn't really see the chaos. It felt like everybody paused so 2 wrestlers or 3 wrestlers could do a little bit of a thing. Maybe it's because I kind of wanted a less predictable ending. Maybe give this to somebody like LA Knight. This would have been a perfect opportunity to give LA Knight a chance to run with the world title for a little bit. Not my first pick, but hey, the fans love him, let's see what he could do. Or the aforementioned Jimmy Uso. Wouldn't the story be great to see Jimmy be proven right and maybe it drive Jay a little bit further towards Roman and what Roman is saying so he could be better than Jimmy? Or maybe Dom. You know, Dom with 3 belts. It's not a bad idea in my opinion. Or AJ Styles giving him one last title run. And I'm not saying whoever won this would ultimately beat CM Punk, but giving him one last title run in what we're to be told is his last year of his wrestling career. I just seen over the weekend he announced that it was going to be the last time he was in Japan, which is kind of sad because I think AJ Styles in Japan is my favorite version of AJ Styles when he was the leader of the Bullet Club, the actual leader of the Bullet Club, not just what John Cena said. I enjoyed that run so much, and that's not to say I haven't enjoyed his whole career, but I think that's the pinnacle AJ Styles. But like I said, it could have given him another run with the big title to solidify his legendary status, and I think his match with CM Punk would have been great. I think a lot of these guys, I think the match with Jey Uso, spoiler, Jey Uso won the match. I think Jey Uso and CM Punk are going to have a great match. I think it's going to be really fun. From everything I've seen, these guys are friends with each other, which usually, when you get 2 friends together, they make a great match. Like I said, I just didn't feel this as much as I would like to have. I'm going to give it a 3. I thought it was pretty middle of the road in my opinion. A little bit underwhelming. And again, I think maybe they should have used this to build somebody different that already wasn't in the title picture, in my opinion. Or who's been in the title picture and not quite got to break that glass ceiling like LA Knight. But I digress. I'm giving it a 3. Overall, I thought this was a very good Raw. I liked the backstage segments. The backstage segments were awesome. The matches, for the most part, I thought were really good. I'm going to give the show overall a 4. I thought it was very quality. It was a very enjoyable show. It went fast. It didn't feel like it was a chore that some Raws do and some SmackDowns do. They feel like you're a chore watching them. Everything seemed to go through. We've seen a lot of good storylines getting forwarded. Braun and Bronson story, Penta, Dominic, and Rusev story, Lyra and Bayley story. A lot of stories had some movement on the show, and that's what I love to see. I love to see continuing evolution and continuing the storylines and continuing to bring us back. Give me a reason to tune in next Monday to see what happens between some of these people. The most interesting thing, in my opinion, coming out of this is how Jay screwed over Jimmy after Jimmy helped Jay a few times in the match from getting eliminated. Jay ultimately takes the opportunity to screw Jimmy over and eliminate him. I like to see where that's going to go coming forward. Like I said, overall, I'm going to give this a 4. Let me know what you think down here in the comments. Also, if you watched all the way through this, thank you, first of all. Second, do you want to see me keep doing these? Is this something that you'd like to see every week? Let me know down here in the comments. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and you've been watching my review of Monday Night Raw.